everybody. So we are the Hallmarkies podcast, and we're here to talk about the latest episode of The Good Witch. And I'm Rachel, and Amber's not here. This is her birthday week, so make sure if you see her, if you tweet with her or whatever, make sure you wish her happy birthday because it's very exciting. And so she gets the week off, and we are here. But Georgia is here with me to talk about this episode. So Georgia, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. So we were not a fan of last week's episode in general. Well, you actually liked it more than I did. I did not like it. So now bumping off of that, how do we feel about this episode?
I mean, I'll say I liked 2/3 of it. Like 2/3 of it were great, and then it was just the Abigail thing for me.
Yeah. I can basically agree because we were not a fan of Mr. Dating Algorithm in last episode. And and I think this one is called Till Death Do Us Part, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so we'll talk about it. See how if he was able to sort of redeem himself in this episode. So, all right. Well, I did think it was kind of funny at the beginning when you see Cassie out front of her shop and Abigail says, I don't know why it's called the bell book in the candle because there's never any bells. Of course, Cassie is sitting right out there with a basket of bells. That was kind of
course.
Fun. Yeah. Because I have never seen her sell a bell.
Right. And so you go, okay, we have to clear that one up.
I mean, I always just assumed it was a little link to Catherine Bell.
Because it's oh gosh, it's that book that isn't it called Bell Book and Candle? Not book. That movie, Bell Book and Candle.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Is that a movie?
And there's a movie and they show it on TCM pretty frequently. And it's frequently. And I think she's supposed to be a witch. I'm not sure.
Let me see.
Because I know that when it's on, I'm like, haha, it was just on, I think this weekend. Pretty sure.
Yeah, look at you. 1958 romantic comedy, Technicolor film direction. Yeah, look at that. Richard Queen, starring Jimmy Stewart. Oh,
there you go. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
call. I never heard of that before.
Yeah. So next time it's on, I guess it's worth giving it. I've never actually watched it. I've seen parts of it.
Kim Novak, Jack Lemmon.
I didn't know Jack Lemmon was in it.
Yeah, look at that. Huh. Okay, now we know a classic film to watch for sure. And let us know what you guys think of that if you've seen it.
Yes.
So there you go. I guess I always figured it was just an homage, a little hint, Easter egg to Catherine Bell, but I was
maybe wrong. It's that too. Who knows? Maybe it was just because it linked up so well, you know.
Yeah, maybe. But so we have Abigail. It starts out. She's giving Mr. Dating Algorithm Phil. Is that his name? Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
So Phil. She's just basically like giving him the world's longest tour of Middleton.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that there was even that many buildings in Middleton.
I swear there weren't before.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely got some glamour shots of the of the bridge, but other than that it was just kind of like, wow, what are these tours? I need to give some guys tours, evidently. I don't know. It was pretty interesting. They hadn't earned that whole plot yet. Like, because he was such a brat in the last episode. Maybe they all thought that we would like love him in the last episode, which I have no idea why. And so like, it's hard for it to be all lovey-dovey and cutesy and whatever, because there was no like real sort of, I'm not going to sue you and I'm not going to be a bad person. And there was no sort of growth as a person. It was just like, okay, now we're in love.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like we needed another episode in between of like them getting to know each other and then things maybe being a little awkward and her still being a little bit bitter. You know what I mean? Like I felt like this was just one episode too soon.
Exactly. No, I feel the exact same way because last week bothered me. The fact that it went from in the same episode, him threatening to sue her to him being like, oh, maybe you could teach me about dating, wink, wink. And she's like, oh, okay. Like Abigail is not an, oh, okay kind of girl.
Yeah.
So it didn't fit at all. And then for this week to just be, oh, maybe I should kiss you on the bridge. And I'm like, what is that? Like, that's not, no, you should exit out, go, we don't know each other. I'm taking you on a tour. That's all this is. And then you need, there needs to be build up. There needs to be some kind of redemption for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, and him like moving his company, which is like, was this even like a company? Like he's gonna restore this huge, like all of a sudden, I don't know, like he's becoming some hipster entrepreneur, and it's like, what? I don't know. Like none of the, like we needed at least one more episode in between there for all of it, for like business, for them getting to know each other, for them like having, and because this was all just sort of like lots of other stuff and characters were growing, and then it was like them hanging out, like, and you know, like there was no, I don't know, it was just, there wasn't really even a plot with them. You know, it was just kind of like them walking around, and it was like there should have been more in there, I think.
Because that's what's it's so weird to me, because usually, I mean, in Hallmark in general, but especially on Good Witch, they introduce characters and it's like, okay, it looks like this is a possible love interest, fine. But usually it takes them a while to get there, because they let you feel it out and they go, okay, is this a good match? Does this make sense? And with them, it was like, well, we're putting this guy in there as Abigail's boyfriend right off the bat. You know, and it's like, but we don't know him and we don't necessarily like him. And now I'm not going to, probably, because I didn't get to know him. And it's just, they rushed it. And now it's just kind of like icky.
I agree with you. And I just still not feeling the chemistry between the two of them. I think because maybe it feels rushed. Yeah. I mean, this is a woman who dated 3 men at once. Like, this is just not like, it's just not Abigail. Like, she should be more sort of skeptical and a little bit more guarded, I think, with her personality than like, I'm going to give you a tour. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you there. So we have the other sort of, one of the other plots is we have Martha being very upset. This was a great episode for Martha. Yeah. She wants the website to be redone, and because it's just outdated. And she's like, you know, we have on there that we've won the Cleanest Streets award 2 years in a row, which is great, but we've really won it 5 years in a row. That was funny. And so she gets Grace to come in and do the town website, which I think is brilliant. I think we should just like have all of the teenagers design town websites, because they know how to do it. Like stuff like that is just like, boom, you know, good for them. Why not? You know, and it kind of reminds me of in my church, doing like your family history is very like important to us. And so what they did, which I thought was such a brilliant stroke of genius, is there's this thing called indexing, where you go through like Ellis Island logs and christening logs and things like that, and you get the names and where people are from and stuff like that for people's family history. It's pretty laborious, but like they were so smart. So they got like all of the youth to have these indexing parties where all the youth would bring their little laptops and they're sitting there doing all the indexing, and they had a blast, and it was great. And at least where I live, it was a huge success, and they did tons of these things, and it became like a thing. And I think that that's just because stuff like that is like sort of a chore or difficult for for older people. Like, it's fun for teens. Let them do it.
Yeah, fun for them.
Yeah,
they can make it fun, I guess. Yeah.
So anyway, it's pretty smart. And Grace, we finally get to see Grace just have kind of a happy plot line, which was nice.
Yeah.
Positive. And then we also, so she is sent down into the archives to go and look up information about Martha's family. We find out that Martha loves the has a secret passion for 7-card stud, which I thought was hilarious. Like a secret gambler. Yeah, never in Hallmark did I think we'd get our secret gambling habit, which was
the mayor of all people. But you said, oh, this is Martha, so it makes sense.
Secret, yeah. But it was really funny, and Catherine Disher was just the best in it. And if you guys haven't listened to our interview with Catherine Disher, you totally got to. It was before the season aired, but I'll put a link down in the description. You check that out. But anyway, she was really funny, and she wants to even upgrade what they already have about the Endicott family, about her family, on the town website. So that's why Grace is doing all this digging. And so she goes into the archives, whatever, and that's where she has some scenes with the librarian, I guess, played by Randall Edwards, and we agreed that he is a delight, right?
He is a delight, especially considering all the guys they've brought on lately and what they've done to the guys who are already on the show. I'm like, yes, give us this librarian researcher guy. Just give us more of him. He's fun. Yeah. He's nice. He's scared of things. We like that.
Yeah. And he's been on this show before, but only a couple times. And he was just so sweet. I was like, why can't Abigail be interested in him? Because he was super funny and sweet, and he's like nervous to dive into some of the, it's like this box of old stuff. It's like very superstitious, I think.
And see, that would have been such an interesting, I know that it's kind of just a jokey thing, but such an interesting match if you have Abigail who's like not afraid of anything, and this guy who's kind of afraid of everything and plays by the rules, and Abigail doesn't. You go, it would have been such a like.
Yeah, and he was so like smiley and fun, which would be such a funny contrast to Abigail, who's more like simple. And we're on the same page there. But they start digging, and they find this picture, and where it shows the Richard Endicott, the ancestor of Martha. There's this whole story about the Richard Endicott saved all of these people in this fire, and he was this hero, and he was recognized and everything like that. Well, so Grace finds this picture that shows that Richard was at a Cubs game at that time, not in Middleton. And so all of a sudden Martha is like devastated because like the heroic underpinnings of her family is like called into question. She's very upset. And and she like, I loved, what was the line where she, I've got to find it, where she says, she goes to the street that's named after them, and she says, I'm just basking in the false memories of my ancestral glory.
I was like, no, Martha, no. They've given her the best really lines good. This season. Oh, man.
Well, and I guess, like, it's always a little bit tricky knowing where the intuitive charm, like, ends and where, because there were a lot of things in this episode that, like, Cassie had a part in, like, having like Nick at the diner just that time, and like her giving the map to Grace, and Grace kind of figuring out that it was called something else at a certain time, and have you recently tried to use an old school map?
No, not recently.
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's so hard.
Yeah. No, I used to, because my dad used to have a bunch of maps. I don't know where they are, and I like the sound of them, so I would unwrap them and stuff. I know like how to do it, but I could never figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we didn't have on my mission for my church. We're always in new places, that we didn't know that well, and so we didn't have phones at the time. This was way back in 2003, and so we had to use maps, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle, and so I related to I did think it was a little over the top when she was like, what is this? Like, I think she probably would know what a map looked like, but it was pretty funny.
Kids now, they don't know what like a landline phone is. They pick it up. I don't know how you hang this up. It's like you literally, it's called hanging it up because you hang it up. It's Oh, there's the end button. And you go, oh, no.
I put on Twitter, I said, clearly Grace didn't watch Dora the Explorer growing up. There's a whole character that's I'm the map.
God, that whole song is like 20 minutes.
Yeah, right?
And all it is I'm the map. And then at the end it says I'm the map. And you go, well, I know that.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of a comic named Brian Regan?
I don't think so.
You totally have to look him up. He's all of our audience, you should look him up. He's very clean, very family friendly. So he's super popular in Utah. But he has a whole thing where he's like, I think that somebody was just like forgot that they were supposed to write a song. And so they were like, so what's up? They're sitting there at the pitch meeting. He's like, so what are you the song? And the guy's like, I'm the map. I'm the it's like brilliant.
Like it just keeps going. Yeah, that's what we'll put in the show every single episode. You go, no, we don't.
It's great. It's really good. I did think. And what do you think about having about the mayor having password as the password?
I think it's classic Martha.
Yeah.
I was like, if there's anything else.
It's actually kind of brilliant in a way, because like sometimes the smartest thing you can do is the most obvious, because that's the last thing people are like, oh, they'll never do that.
But right? Everyone's going to check that first, aren't they?
No, but you think they will, but everyone's going to be like, no, they wouldn't be that stupid. So they you know what I mean? So you don't check
I know what you mean, but it takes like a second to type in password. And if that's actually what it is, then you ruin everything for yourself pretty much.
Yeah. They find in their digging, the librarian and Grace, they find this box full of stuff that was remnants from the fire. And this is after Martha's already very upset. And he's been like hesitant to like get in there. He thinks, I don't know what, he's just superstitious, right?
He's super cautious. I don't exactly know. Yeah, if he's what he's afraid of.
But anyway, so they dive in there and they find all of this poker stuff. And so they, turns out there was sort of this underground poker thing. So evidently there's a long legacy of Endicotts playing the seven layer stud or whatever. 7-card stud. And I
love it.
So that goes with the family. And then they find a purse in there. And so they started to put everything together that it was really the I forgot to write down her name, but it was really the wife of Richard Endicott was the one who was responsible for helping all the people, was the true hero, and that she also liked 7-card stud, evidently, like to play her poker, which was really funny. And so there is redemption, but she obviously didn't want to like admit to the press and to everybody that she was like a poker player. And so
she could have gotten in trouble or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I said, that's right. It was the Endicott woman all along. And I said, I wonder if she was also a Cubs fan too.
Probably.
Yeah. Right. And so she was the true hero. And so it was really cute that they got to kind of put all the pieces and got to set Martha's heart at rest. And they'll have it on the website as she gets the credit that she deserves.
Finally.
So, yeah.
That was it is a classic Good Witch storyline.
Yeah, it really was. I agree with you.
Another one of these, like, Grace gets in trouble for something she didn't do, or nothing actually happened. Like, something actually happened. There was a story to tell. It just wasn't the story they were expecting. And I felt bad for Martha, but it's always funny when she's kind of upset. Yeah. So I did enjoy that.
Yeah, it was really good. I agree with you. It was. I like seeing Grace and Martha together. I've always enjoyed those scenes. And so we get Sam is up to no good. Like, at first I was confused because first of all, so he hurts his wrist or whatever, because he's replacing the shingles on a friend's roof. But the way they made it, it almost seemed like he was like walking by and was like, "Oh, that shingle isn't," and then he like climbed. Like it made it seem like it was just some like random person's roof, you know? Like he was like, "I can't be bothered." I was like, I had no idea he was so fastidious about things, and no idea. And it was also kind of funny. I thought that like they're all like, "Why don't you lie down? Why don't you rest?" And it's like he hurt his arm, not his legs. Like, why does he need to lie down? And it wasn't even a break. It was just like a
like, he just like banged it up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like, ouch.
Yeah, I think it was like a strain or something. Like really. I'm like, I don't think bed rest is required for an arm
like
strain.
Set him up on the couch with all the books. It's like, oh, here's good light and all that. And you go, let him sleep it off. I think he'll be okay.
But I guess
I think he's okay.
I guess I didn't recognize the guy that he helped with the roof that was there at the hospital, but I guess that's the guy that owns the brewery. I guess someone was saying on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. So, but I guess they did. I was thinking, oh, this is just some random guy. Like, what is he doing? So weird. But
he's a nice person.
Yeah. They're kind of trying to set it up so that you have him being sort of more vulnerable and Cassie being more sort of concerned about his health and kind of things like that. He finds out, I guess he had done, did we know about the fact that he had done this Doctors Without Borders kind of thing? Was that a plot in previous seasons? Or
I want to say they talked about it, but I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know if I just assumed that about his character or if that was actually something that they talked about.
Yeah, I feel like it was mentioned, but I can't remember exactly. And so who knows? I guess
who knows.
And so he decides to go back. He finds out that there's this tropical storm, that the people really need help, and so he's very concerned. So he goes and goes down there and you get I think a pretty touching moment between the two of them when he's leaving, between Cassie and Sam. I think you get to see a vulnerability in Cassie that you don't always get to see with her in this episode, which I really liked. She gives him some presents, including a scarf, and he doesn't realize that she's also given him a pendant in his pocket. And I swear they could release a whole line of Good Witch jewelry just from this season alone. We've had a ring, we've had I feel like we've had I don't know, most episodes there's been some kind of trinket / jewelry that
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
It's all this really kind of unique stuff. Looks like one of a kind, and
like Grace had the drama pin. I'm just like a lot of episodes I've had different kinds of jewelry of different kinds. You had the earrings for Martha. So it has really been a great season for jewelry. And I saw this pendant and I'm like, I want to have one of Gray House on it. And I'm like, it was really cute. Like they've been on their game with jewelry this season.
The fact that they must have to make all this stuff, right? I mean, I don't know where you're getting it if you're not having it made.
Yeah. So what did you think about seeing Cassie sort of more vulnerable? Is that something you liked to see? Do you think Catherine Bell did a good job? I
was actually going to say that this was probably my favorite of her performances. I thought that she played it really well. I know that you have to see it, and I like to see different sides of characters and everything, but I didn't exactly like seeing it because it made me feel really bad because she's already been through so much, and here he is off helping people and doing good things. And I was like, she looked just really like Cassie doesn't need to go through anything else like that. You don't need to do this to her. And she was so convincing. And I don't usually get teary-eyed or anything at Good Witch, but I was close on this one.
Well, I think that When Calls the Heart has me all like nervous now. Oh my gosh, when I ever hear her talking about that she's feeling the same way she felt with Jake, and that she.
I was like, you do not.
Yeah, she's like, life is a risk, so I'm going to love you as if each day was the only one we had. And I'm like, that's too like Elizabeth and Jack. Like, oh no, I'm like, is James Denton not happy? Did he not renew his contract? I'm like, no.
Is Catherine Bell not happy? Is she gonna leave?
No.
Are they gonna switch it up on us and do something that you can't? Oh, you can't. Considering he started off the show that way, we can't. We don't deserve that,
So basically, like, One Cold Heart has ruined television for me. I think
I was wondering if anyone else felt that way. I was watching it and I was like,
you can't say things like that. Like, what?
No, I was totally on the same page, but I was like, just don't go there. Don't mess with people.
Yeah.
Not with us.
I think they were trying to be like, this is her motivation for wanting to for the wedding, but still, I was just like,
so nerve-wracking.
Oh, no,
like not in a fun way. We're just like, turn it. I don't want to watch this anymore.
I'm like, this is giving me anxiety. So it was quite a like, typically they just use the same sets kind of over and over again.
Yeah.
For Good Witch. And so the fact that they built this whole evacuation thing and they had all these extras, I mean, it was a pretty big thing, I think, for them this episode.
I was saying the exact thing. I was watching it with my sister and I was like, this seems just like a big budget episode for them.
Yeah.
And they pulled it off. I mean, it was well done. And that storyline, I think, was so good. It was just well done. It was convincing. I was nervous. I was actually nervous when she started talking. And I was like, oh God, please just get back home and everyone be safe.
Yeah. I'm like, couldn't you just call her? Just call her. Send an email or something. Not until way late, until she's freaking out. And
you had to get a phone. You didn't have a phone.
Yeah, and we get these people coming in. It almost reminded me of a Signed, Sealed, Delivered episode. That's this plot line. It felt to me almost like Signed, Sealed, Delivered a little bit. Because they've done a number of sort of war or sort of this kind of feel, I feel like, but he's there trying to help the people in this emergency bunker, kind of, for lack of a better word, and each of these people that he starts to treat, he is able to use the things that Cassie gave him in unexpected ways, and of course, right? But it was really cute. It was very well executed, I thought. And James Denton is just like, he's just the $1 million man to me. Like, oh my gosh, he was so great in this. Like, yeah. I mean, he's already super handsome, in my opinion. He's like, he's the, I think, the hunkiest guy over 50 in Hollywood. But he's also like super amazing as this doctor in this emotional thing. And that baby, they got the cutest baby.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Ugh, like,
and she wanted to sit with him.
Oh, like Hallmark, they nail the baby auditions. They do such a good job. This baby was so cute, and you're just like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And so there was a woman and her mother and the baby, and I don't know,
every family member at you, the girl, the baby, and then the dad, and then the mom, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think there was anything wrong with the mom, and then she's dehydrated, and you go, what? I didn't, oh my gosh.
Get some water. Yeah, because he has to, he uses the I think is it the dad that has that needs the sling, so he uses the scarf for that Cassie had given him, and then they use the pendant because it had a really long chain. It was perfect for using as this to hold, because she's super dehydrated, so the IV sac, like, she's able to put it around her neck and kind of wear it for and he's able to save the day. He was like Superman.
Of course.
And it was really, really pretty well done, I think.
And you were swooning.
I was swooning. I mean, they kept trying to go back to Abigail and Mr. Dating Algorithm, and I'm like, yeah, no, not cutting it.
Oh man, especially with him. Like if you're gonna compare the two, because I'm not some James Denton like fangirl. I
Yeah.
like him on the show, but you know, I don't have a thing for him. But you compare him to Phil, you compare Sam to Phil, and you're just like, okay, sorry, Phil. Like, sorry you're in this episode.
Yeah, ridiculous. Not even like,
It's just sad.
just stop. Like,
It's
that's
sad.
ridiculous. Yeah. So, but
Sorry.
yeah, and it was pretty emotional, and there was a great scene with her with Catherine Bell and Peter McNeil, talking about these feelings that she's been having. And I did say on Twitter, I said, next time Cassie falls in love, she should try to pick someone without a hero complex.
Seriously.
Like,
oh, I just fall in love with men who want to change the world. And I'm like, well, stop.
just fall in love with like a mousy librarian, and you're like,
Give the librarian someone else. Maybe Lori can come back and marry the librarian.
yes, I like the librarian. He was really good. It's a nice scene between the two of them, and talking about Jake and the loss that they had both had, and I don't know, it was I thought very nice. Again, at this time, Sam asked Cassie to help with Nick getting his college applications in, and Nick is putting it off. And why do you think that Nick is putting this off so much?
Because he's being a big baby? I don't know. I seriously was trying to figure it out, and I was like, okay, so are they going to have him not go to college? Because that'll be an interesting twist if they have him like enter the Peace Corps or something. I really thought, and I don't know, maybe they could do that, but I didn't quite understand why he was just putting it off, and then what, you're just willing to do it because you go help out some like an old lady and like people. It didn't make any sense to me.
At least we got some Nick being nice for once.
Yeah.
Like, well, that was nice. But yeah, no, so he's like putting it off because I guess he feels like he has to know sort of what he's doing with his whole life, which I can understand that, I guess. Like, but really that's the whole point of college, is to help you figure out what you want to do. You shouldn't have to know that before going to college.
But that's what they're trying to make Grace do now. You know, it's like, oh, what's my passion? What do I want to do with my life? And I'm like, girl, you're 18. Chill. Just go to school. You can figure it out.
Yeah. There was a side of me that was thinking, oh, they're going to have him not go to college just to keep him there on the show because they like him evidently more than we do. And
I don't mind Nick. He's just being kind of a baby about stuff.
He is. And and so I didn't know why Cassie wasn't asking him more questions about this. Like, I get he's not technically her son, but still, like, you would think, as they seem to have a perfectly fine relationship from everything I can see. So you think she would be like, Nick, can we talk about this? Like, what's going on? You've only got 3 days. These things are not easy. Like, applying for colleges, like, you've got to usually write an essay. You've got to, like, it's not something you can just throw together.
Oh.
So, it's something that he needs to take pretty seriously. And he was just like saving it for the last minute. So there was obviously something more there. They end up going to the bistro, and Stephanie says, oh, this woman, she thought that a to-go order was a delivery order. And so I almost thought that this new plot line was going to be, oh, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to work at the bistro. I'm going to be the new delivery guy or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, or is he going to be some kind of handyman or something like that?
Yeah. Something a little interesting. Yeah.
But anyway, so he goes and meets with this old lady, and her light on her porch is out. Hey, delivery guys, does it take to change a light bulb? That was kind of fun. Like, I was like, at least Nick's being kind of fun and cheerful and nice.
Yeah.
And like, I take that over whiny Nick any day of the week.
Yeah.
So, take what I can get.
It shouldn't be like cheesy, like obnoxious Nick or whiny boo-hoo, wham-wham obnoxious. Like, it's like either way, you're being kind of obnoxious, but whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, well.
But I take this one over if I was given the Sophie's choice, I'm taking the cheesy nice Nick over the whiny petulant Nick.
Yes.
And but he changes the light bulb, and he has this sort of moment of clarity that he wants to go to college, I guess. And you end with him saying, look, I've I've got my applications ready. I'm done. There you go. So
yeah,
I guess he's not I guess he's Martha's. Ruth came through, of course. Is Martha's assistant.
Yeah.
I thought he was a librarian or archives. Okay. But Randall Edwards. He's Lane Edwards' brother, who was in The Perfect Bride too.
Oh my God. Because of course, if one person's in a Hallmark movie, the rest of the family gets to work for the same company. Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, good.
So
so then we get our final kind of big revelation at the end was Sam is back, and Cassie's had all this time of thinking and worrying and whatever, and she had told him that she would plan the wedding when she felt right, and it would be on her terms, and so she gives him a piece of paper that says, "This is when I want to get married to you." And he looks it up, and it says 3 weeks. So they're doing a 3-week wedding. What do you think about that?
I'm super happy about it because that means that it'll be the finale. So I'm in favor of it. I've never understood it in these movies, these TV shows, how they plan a wedding in 2-3 weeks, as they usually do in Hallmark stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like, I just genuinely don't know, but I guess in Middleton it could work because everyone's going to help out. So
yeah. Because I come in Utah, in Mormon world, like they frequently have really fast weddings, like that, and so like the whole institution is like set up here to like handle it in a way, and and it's totally doable, especially if there's somebody that like literally lives with them that's a florist, and they've got Stephanie who can make the food, and so it's just like boom boom, those are done. You can have you find someone to take the pictures, you find Cassie a dress, there you go.
Do you think they didn't say where they're having it yet, right?
No, but I just would assume it would be, I would think you're gonna probably have Martha marry them, I would think. And then you're gonna have, I would think that they would probably have the reception at maybe at the bistro or just some place. I don't know. But like, that's easy to decide. Like, and maybe they could even do it at Grey House.
It seems like a waste to me to not do it at the beach house or the lake house.
Oh yeah, they could do it there. Yeah.
Like, I know that Grey House is standard, but it just seems like, okay, you have this really pretty house and you don't use it for anything. Use it for the wedding.
The Grey House could be pretty cool, though. They could get like they could get a tent out there that could lead people out to the wedding. That would be really pretty exciting. And so she's getting married. Yay! Yay!
Yay! Finally.
So overall, I think this was a pretty good episode. I really liked the Sam and Cassie parts, even though it made me a little nervous. But it was a nice reveal with her choosing to get married. And also I liked the cast. I also really liked the Grace Martha stuff, was really good. And so all of that worked, and you still have to convince me, good witch writers, about your Mr. Dating algorithm and Abigail. So
same. Unfortunately, I want to be on board. I want to so support all of it, but Abigail's my girl, and it's not enough. She deserves better to me. So I don't know.
We agree. Like, he needs to. We need to stop with the tours, and we need to actually get to know him. We need to see some growth. We need to see some apologies, kind of thing. I feel.
Stop with the cheesy lines on bridges. It just got me up. Let's get off there.
Yeah, right.
Stop.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, this is a tour. Like, holy cow. I mean, but
don't be so pushy, Phil. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
And do we assume, is he still staying at Grey House, or does he have his own place?
He said he was going to stay there for a while, so I assume he's still staying there.
So like him and Abigail are staying in the same house, right? Yeah, which is kind of awkward.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of awkward. The whole storyline.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So, oh well, you can't win them all, but at least we had a pretty solid, I think, episode. And we'll have to see what happens next week. So that'll be fun. And so thanks so much for joining me to talk about this episode. Sorry,
thank you.
A little scattered at spots, but it was fun to talk about it. And so where can people find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram at Georgia Speech, all one word.
Great. And I'll have links to that in the description section. You can follow Amber at Amber Brainwaves, and you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and on YouTube. And I just did this last weekend, posted a fun podcast where me and two of my girlfriends, we whittle down, we do sort of a tournament where we figure out the best romantic movie of all time. So it was really fun. I think you guys will really like that. So check it out. I'd really appreciate it. And so there you go. That is our podcast on The Good Witch. Make sure you're following the podcast on social media, on Instagram and Twitter at Hallmarkies Pod, and also just make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube or on iTunes or wherever you like to listen. You can find us. So thanks so much, and we will talk to you guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.